Okay.
Right.
Back on the record. All right. Any further proofs, Mr. White?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Logerai?
Well, Your Honor, I'm thinking about the law right now, and there has to be a clear, convincing evidence that custody should change. I just don't think we have it here. The law is pretty clear. There has to be something significant before custody can be changed under Varga. And they're looking for a change of custody. I don't think they've met their burden, Your Honor. So I'd do a motion for directed verdict to deny their motion.
Mr. White?
Your Honor, this is a 8-year-old child who requires therapy because of her father's drinking and the different women in and out of the house. There can be no question that we met that burden, and whether Mr. Sylvius testifies or not, there's only one thing to do, and that's to change the custody here. We've clearly met our burden without any doubt.
Yeah, well, first of all, whether or not Varga has been met, I believe enough has been presented to meet the Varga standard. Whether or not there's enough testimony in the record to establish clearly and convincingly that the weight of the best interest factors weighs in favor of a change of custody, I'm not prepared to rule on that. I think I'd like to hear from Mr. Sylvius.
Sure, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Sylvius, I guess we should swear him in.
Yes. You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can put your hand down. Full name for the record.
Mitchell Ryan Sylvius.
Go ahead, Mr. Lugerai.
Mr. Sylvius, try to get out. I'm sorry, Your Honor. Let me kind of adjust here a second. The sunshine is nice, but not when I'm on Zoom. Mr. Sylvius, can you tell me prior to August 3rd or 4th or thereabouts, how you and Miss Ayers were getting along?
Kelly and I got along perfectly fine.
Okay. And how long have you guys been getting along? Were you guys getting along perfectly fine, as you stated?
We've been co-parenting and have had a healthy relationship since 2017.
And what is, tell me what happened in July of 2020. You bought a house?
Yes,
Okay. Who was your real estate agent for that house?
Kelly Ayers.
And did you specifically select her because she's Kim's mom?
No, Kelly had actually found the house and proposed it to me and asked if I liked it, and it just happened to be good timing.
Describe your house to me. How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, that sort of thing?
It is a 4-bedroom house, 2-bathroom. It's got dining room, kitchen, typical house setup.
And where is it located?
It is located in Napoleon, Michigan,
And how far do you live from Miss Ayers?
about 1.3 miles.
And who does all the transportation for parenting time?
I do.
And you heard testimony earlier that during the day you drop off Kim at her mom's house?
Yes, I do.
And when did that start?
That started at the beginning of COVID.
And why did you guys start doing that at the beginning of COVID?
Due to the concern of COVID, I used to have my family members help me out with Kimberly. But due to the pandemic and the cause for concern, we decided that I wanted to keep Kim with less exposure, especially to my older family members. So Kelly and I both agreed that it was better.
I take it in Kim's best interest to be with her during the day?
Yes.
And you heard testimony that mother does 100% of the schoolwork, was her testimony. Is that true?
No, it is not.
In what way is that not true?
For the end of the year of 2020, Kim did have to do Zoom meetings with her 2nd grade teacher when I had her. So we did do Zoom meetings off of my phone. And then at the beginning of the school year for 3rd grade, when she went back to in-person schooling, she did have to do homework, and I was helping her out with homework. for the beginning of the fall year.
One of the issues that came up in testimony was that you called Miss Ayers on approximately, I think it was August 3rd or 4th, early in the morning.
It would have been August 2nd, Sunday.
Okay. And why did you call her? What was the reason for the call?
I had a disgruntlement between my now ex-girlfriend and myself, and I seen a negative situation start to develop. And I want to be clear that I've always wanted to communicate and co-parent with Kelly, whether it be positive or negative, to keep the best interest of our child in mind.
Okay. And we saw some of those text messages. And after you shared those concerns with Miss Ayers, what happened?
We had discussed later on Sunday when I picked up Kim from her parents' house, we had discussed certain options, what we could both do to help make my situation more positive. We discussed how we could potentially get Jasmine out of the house. And we also talked about how during a time of COVID, along with eviction, it can be quite a difficult task and perhaps a lengthy process. But that was the end result goal, is that we both wanted Jasmine out of my house.
And did Jasmine eventually move out of your house?
Yes, she did.
When did she move out of your house?
She moved out of my house on December 11th, 2020.
Okay. Has she ever been back to your house?
No,
Has she had any contact with your daughter whatsoever since December 11th, 2020?
none whatsoever.
And you remember we were in court in September?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember losing like 18 overnights with your daughter? Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. At an earlier hearing on February 1st, you heard Miss Ayers testify that she told you that the child was seeing a therapist. She indicated, she said that she thought she would have the child see a therapist. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Do you remember her ever saying that to you?
No.
Okay. Do you ever remember her ever identifying a therapist to you?
No.
Has your daughter ever indicated to you that she was seeing a therapist?
No.
When was the first time you learned that your daughter was seeing a therapist?
It was during that court hearing in February.
Okay. Has the therapist ever contacted you?
No.
You've heard a testimony regarding things that happen at your house, partying, so to speak. Okay. Yes, you've heard that testimony. When Kim is with you, do you party, as they say?
No, I do not.
Okay. Tell me what happens when Kim is with you. Do you have people over?
I occasionally have people over, yes.
Who do you have over?
I can have some of my friends over. My brother has been stopping by more frequently.
What's your brother's name?
Zachary Silvius.
Okay. How old is he?
He's 20 years old.
How do him and Kim get along?
Him and Kim get along fantastically.
Is there drinking that goes on at your house in front of Kim?
No.
Okay. Has there ever been drinking in front of Kim at your house?
There has been in the past.
There has been in the past.
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever driven Kim while drinking in the car?
No, I have not.
Okay. Have you ever driven Kim after drinking
No.
when not in the car? Do you understand what I'm asking?
Correct.
Okay. Do you use marijuana?
No, I do not.
Would you be willing to take a marijuana test to prove that?
Absolutely.
Okay. As it relates to Kim's concerns about drinking, are you willing to consent to an order that says you can't drink any alcohol while Kim is with you?
Absolutely.
You're willing to do that?
I'm absolutely 100%.
You're willing to consent to not have anybody at your house consume alcohol
Correct.
while Kim is there,
Absolutely.
or use anything else?
Absolutely.
Are you guys ever up at your house when you do have people over up until 1 or 2 in the morning?
Never.
Okay. When people are over, how late are they over until typically?
If it's on a weekday, there's no later than 9 p.m. where people stay.
Okay. So this partying that Kim seems to have indicated is causing her anxiety to the therapist. Has Kim ever discussed that with you?
No.
Has Kelly ever discussed, Miss Ayers ever discussed these concerns with you since September?
No, Kelly has not.
Okay. And had she discussed the concerns, would you have taken remedial action? Would you have done something about it?
Absolutely.
Now, one of the things they indicate is the time that you spend with Kim, what do you do with Kim when she's with you?
We can go grocery shopping together because I know she likes to pick out some of her more favorite foods.
And what are her more favorite foods?
She likes macaroni and cheese. She likes to make sure that I pick up some of her more favorite snacks, such as Jell-O or Cheetos. She really likes to make sure that I keep ravioli stocked in the house.
Okay. What sort of other things do you do with her?
We go to the park.
What park do you go to?
We have a few parks that we go to. There's the park that's in Napoleon. We visit. We went there yesterday.
Okay.
There's another park that's in Brooklyn that we will occasionally go to. And there's also the playground at the elementary school that we will go to.
Does she seem anxious when she's around you?
Not at all.
Does she ever ask to spend more time with you?
Yes, she does.
Objection as to what the child asked, any hearsay.
Your Honor, I'll strike the question. That's fine.
Okay.
How would you describe your relationship with Kim?
Very positive.
Okay. And I already asked you, she doesn't appear to be anxious around you.
No.
Has she ever talked to you about, Dad, you're drinking too much or anything like that? Ever brought up drinking?
She's asked why I drink beer.
Okay. And what was your response?
I told her that I just like it.
Okay. And when did she ask you that question?
She's asked that over the course of the last year or so.
Had she ever asked it before?
Well, yes, it's during that 1 year span.
Oh.
Occasionally she'll ask.
Okay. And in terms of when you communicate with Miss Ayers, is it over the phone, in person, or text? Describe to the court how you guys primarily communicate.
Our primary communication is through text message. On occasion, we will discuss in person during exchanges on Sundays and Sundays only.
Why Sundays only?
Sunday is a little bit more of a relaxed time for us to communicate if we do need to communicate. Usually, during the weekday, I have to go to work. So when I drop Kim off at 6:30, when I drop Kim off, Kim gets out of the car, she runs up the driveway, up to Mom's porch, and then Kelly lets her in the house. We'd never communicate at 6:30 in the morning. And then after I'm out of work, I will go pick her up. And Kelly will sometimes tell me that she has to go get Kim, or she'll just say something that, Kim did really good at school today, and that'll be about the extent. But primary communication happens on Sunday.
Okay. How about, do you guys text message each other?
Yes.
Right. And who lives at your house right now?
My friend Kinsey.
Okay. Who's Kinsey?
Kinsey is a friend of my brother's.
Okay. Are you in a romantic relationship with Kinsey?
No, I am not.
Okay. And was your brother ever in a romantic relationship with Kinsey?
No, he was not.
What does Kinsey do?
Kinsey is a cook.
How long have you known Kinsey?
I have known Kinsey for about 2 years.
Does Kinsey drink in front of Kim?
No.
Okay. How do Kim and Kinsey get along?
Kim and Kinsey get along just great.
Okay. And you already indicated you're not in a romantic relationship with her.
Correct.
How did she come to live there? Is she paying rent?
She is paying rent.
Okay. And one of the issues came up with where Kim's room is located. Is there any issue with Kim giving Kim a different room in the house if she were to want that?
There's no issue. In fact, when Jasmine moved out, I had asked Kim if she wanted to change rooms because she had mentioned that she doesn't like the doors to her current room. I asked if she would like to change rooms since one was available, and she said she did not.
What you would say, Your Honor. We're
That's
more than
fine,
willing
that's
to,
fine. That's fine. So
more than willing to call her as a witness if we need to.
No. So you asked her if she wanted to change rooms. As a result of that conversation, did she in fact change rooms?
No.
Okay. As it relates to so one of the issues that came up in testimony by Ms. Ayers was that it was your decision that Kim be an in-person school. Is that correct?
Partially my decision.
Okay, so tell us what happened.
So prior to the beginning of the school year, while Kelly and I were still under good terms of communication, we had both discussed equally what we would like to do for Kim for school this year. I was more erring towards the side of her doing in-person schooling. This whole COVID situation has definitely brought distress to a lot of people, especially younger children. I wanted her to go back to do in-person schooling so that she could have a social setting. I believe that Kelly had that same mindset as well.
Why do you believe that?
Because during the very beginning of the school year, for the first 2 days, Kim did attend in-person schooling. And I had even called the school to verify that. But Kelly then pulled her from in-person schooling to do virtual schooling because Kim had such a hard time adjusting to the new social settings, face masks, barriers, and all of the new restrictions.
How's she doing in school now?
She's doing just great.
Okay. And if she, and you still help her with homework, or
I presently don't help her with homework.
why not?
I drop Kim off in the morning, and then I pick her up when I'm out of work. And since December, Kelly has not given me any sort of schoolwork, any sort of school scheduling. She has not provided me with anything as far as related to school. She's not asked for any assistance. So I have just assumed that she's taking care of all of it.
Prior to December, would she ask you for assistance with that?
No.
Okay, how would you do it then?
Prior to December, I was actually taking care of the transportation on my end when I had her for my weeks to and from school.
Wow.
And when I would get her from school, she would have homework and we would do homework then.
Okay. And why aren't you doing the transportation now? Why that end in December?
Well, when Jasmine moved out and the negative situation had been removed, I was kind of hoping, and I'm still hoping, that we can both go back to a positive, healthy co-parenting relationship. So
With Miss Ayers?
yes.
Okay, so you were kind of giving her something that she wants, like,
Yes.
I got you. Your Honor, I don't have any further questions.
Mr. White?
Thank you, Your Honor. So let's go back to this August 2nd or August 3rd call, Mr. Silvius. You were so concerned about Jasmine's mental state and so concerned about the safety of your daughter, you called at like 3 or 4 in the morning and left a message with your ex-wife, right?
Yes.
You were concerned that Kim's life was in danger?
No, I never said that.
I'm asking you, were you concerned?
I was not concerned that my daughter's life was in danger, no.
Were you concerned about any danger at all?
I was concerned about her mental health.
When did you move Jasmine into that house?
Jasmine moved in the same time that I did, in late July.
July of 2020.
Correct.
So during the COVID, you moved in a stranger into your household. Is that right?
I wouldn't call her a stranger.
Did she live in your household before July of 2020?
No.
So you moved a new person during this COVID crisis into your home, right?
We had a prior relationship.
But you didn't live with her. You moved her into your home.
Yes.
And in less than a month later, you're making a call in the early morning hours to warn Kelly about issues, aren't you?
Yes.
And then you followed up that said essentially that your daughter can't be around Jasmine, right?
I stated that I don't want my daughter around Jasmine.
Do you remember what you said exactly?
I do not remember exactly what I said.
Grab your phone.
Do you remember saying, do not speak to Jasmine? Kim's best interest is not in her mindset. Do you remember that?
I do.
Do you remember saying, right now, until she leaves, Jasmine is far from suitable for our daughter? Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
So did you give Jasmine a notice to quit or move her out after you had to make this late night, early morning call
Yes.
to Kelly? So she moved out when?
She moved out December 11th, 2020.
Okay. So you've got all these concerns that you make this call on August 2nd or August 3rd. You don't get rid of her for months, right?
Correct.
Even though you got all these concerns, you still let her live there for all of August, all of September, all of October, and almost all of December, right?
Right.
The whole time that you have these problems, you don't move her out.
Correct.
Is it because you have a child with her?
No, I do not.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Are you aware that the first baby daddy test came negative on her paternity claim for that little girl that was there at your house?
I'm not aware.
Because Jasmine didn't live with you alone, did she?
No.
She had a child, right?
Yes.
How old is that child?
Jasmine has 2 children.
Let's go with that first one. Is it 5-year-old?
Her first child, his name is Cooper. He's 6 years old.
Okay. And then what's her next child?
Her next child is Braylon, and she is almost 2 now.
Okay. And you're going to stay under oath that you're not the father?
I will say under oath that I am not the father.
Okay. So Kelly goes and tries to get an ex parte order based on what you did with calling her. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Now you said you missed 18 days of parenting time?
Yes, as well as her birthday.
You didn't file a parenting time complaint with the front of the court, did you?
Yes, I did.
And where's that at?
I don't have it on me right now.
Did you file a motion during that period of time to compel seeing the minor child?
No, I got with my attorney.
Did he file something?
Yes, I believe I did.
Okay. So what do you do to protect Kimmy from Jasmine since you didn't make her move out when you said you would?
Well, hold on. I'm going to object to that question because he said he would make her move out in December, and he did.
Actually, that's not what he said at all. I can get the date. You said she's moving out on, do you remember in the text message saying she's moving out in August?
Yes.
Okay. So you say she's moving out in August. That turns out to be untrue, right?
Correct.
So now you've got a situation where you're so concerned about your daughter's well-being that you call mom in the middle of the night. You say that the problem was moving out and she doesn't. Have I got it right so far?
Correct.
What are you doing to protect your little girl from this person that you won't have move out?
I don't leave him alone with her. I never did after that. And anytime that there was an issue that I seen that would be volatile or dangerous, I would take him and we would leave.
Now you heard Kim talk about, or you heard the therapist talk about all this stuff that was related from Kim. And if we're to believe your testimony, essentially every part of the drinking that little girl reports is a lie then, right?
Yes.
So you're prepared to have us put that little 8-year-old on the stand after you're done to talk about what she saw then, right?
We don't want the child to testify.
Oh, we're going to now.
Inappropriate.
We're going to now. So you're prepared for that, right? You don't want to change your testimony?
Rephrase your question, please.
After you're done testifying, I'm going to call this 8-year-old girl as a witness to clear up exactly who's drinking when. Are you sure you want to have your sworn testimony as it is? Where that all this stuff where you've never drank around Kimmy.
That wasn't his testimony. He said he has drank around her.
I said I no longer drink in front of her.
And when did that start?
That started at the beginning of this year. I have some seriously developing health problems. All right, I'm trying to make my person better and healthier due to my underlying health conditions. And alcohol is not a contributing healthy factor to that.
So when's the last time you consumed alcohol?
Friday night.
Did you just find out after Friday night that you have a health problem that could be helped by not using alcohol?
I have cut down on my drinking. I never said that I have quit drinking altogether. I have significantly reduced my drinking.
Okay. So we've already established, I think, that despite your promises that Jasmine would move out in August, she didn't, right?
Correct.
How about in September? What steps did you take to move her out in September?
Jasmine and I were communicating, trying to keep the situation more positive. I was more or less hoping that she would be able to move out voluntarily, because I understand that with everything with COVID, it would make going through the eviction process that much more difficult.
Well, it sure looks like you're spending a lot more time trying to patch things up and keep things with Jasmine than you are throwing her out so that your daughter feels better. I mean, you made this call to Kelly. Don't you think it's time to choose Kimmy over Jasmine?
I did choose Kimmy over Jasmine. That is why Jasmine is no longer in my home.
4 months later. Because wasn't there another problem? Didn't Jasmine cause another problem with your family unit in December?
Yes, she did.
And what was that?
It was, I found out that Jasmine had called CPS against Kelly and her husband, Andrew. Found out that she had called Kelly's place of employment and reported false claims. And all of that, I was very aggravated against. And that's when I told her that she had to leave. I wasn't aware that she had done any of that. Kelly's a good mom. And I know that she would not let any harm happen to Kim in any manner whatsoever.
Didn't you say on December 6th, didn't you say to Miss McJames in front of Kimmy, you should start the end of a shotgun and blow your brains out? Do you remember that statement?
I remember that statement, but it didn't happen in front of my child.
Again, we'll hear from her in a little bit. So your testimony is that she did not hear that in any way, shape, or form?
No.
You sure about that, right?
Yes.
Okay. You read do you want to hear the audio that exists of that? Hold up. Your Honor, we have an audio. We'll try to figure it out, but
Your Honor, I don't think why that's necessary. He says he said it. What's the point of it?
I think the audio is going to show that little girl was there, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, well, if you've got, it looks like it's approaching 12 o'clock. We're clearly not going to finish. I need to find a time where we can conclude the testimony.
Okay.
I'm not available this afternoon. What I'm going to do is get with Dawn and have her get with both of you to find a time. I'm assuming we're looking at no more than an hour or two max.
I hope so.
For this witness,
But I don't understand, Mr. White. When we previously spoke, or I think it was on the record, you indicated you had two witnesses, your client and the therapist.
I'm calling a rebuttal witness, and that's that little girl.
Okay, well, I don't
have a lot of choice here. We have a therapist who clearly related all these stories, and then we have a defendant says none of it ever happened. So we'll find out from an 8.5-year-old girl.
I think.
All right, well, whether or not the girl testifies, we're going to have to leave for another day, gentlemen. I'm going to close the record now, and Dawn will get a hold of you to find a new date.